Okay, welcome to my stream, Anonymous Guy Confessions. So yeah, we are going to be reading poetic um, confessions about a crime that they witnessed. Okay, and it's not going to be long; it's going to be short because we didn't receive much. So the first one here says the ledger of the lost, the rooftop view. I was perched up on the roof. I was perched up on the roof where the pigeons don't fly, looking down at the world with a jaded tired eye. Below me was jail, was a dance in the rain, a transfer of power for a handful of pain. I saw the briefcase open and the tension start to rise between two different men and the same kid of lies. And the same kind of lies. One was veteran with an with a scar on his chin. The other was rookie, trying hard to get in. But the rookie was nervous. His hand was too quick, and the alley got heavy and thick. He reached for his wristband. The veteran reacted, and the peace treaty they had was violently retreated. The sound echoed up, bouncing off the tin. The roar of a hollow point, the price of the scene. I watched from the edge, my heart hitting my ribs, thinking about the distance between coffins and cribs. The rookie fell back, hitting crate full of glass as the veteran vanished, moving ghost-like and fast. Now I'm the only one who knows where the metal was tossed. A silent account accountant for the ledger of the loss. I see his face in the cloud when the storm starts to brew, a witness to a debt that is never quite due. I keep my mouth shut while the neighborhood cries because a rat in the wood is a man who surely dies. I will take it to the furnace. I will bury it deep, a secret for the shadows that I'm forced to keep. Wow. So, what are you doing at the rooftop when you witness this murder? What are you doing at the rooftop? That's just the question I have. So, the next one here says the new betrayal, fire in the bodega. The new sign was Rumi, a boss in the ear, in a place where atmosphere is marit- marinated in fear. I was grabbing a soda, just a normal night one, before the door swung open and saw the first gun. Masked up and manic, they went looking for cash. They were looking for the owner, making sure it was a smash. They went behind the counter, where the old man stood, a pillar of the people, the soul of the hood. I stayed in the aisle, crushed low by the chips, with a prayer on my tongue and a seed on my lips. They didn't want the register. They wanted his pride because he wouldn't let the runners keep the product inside. They lit a match to the kerosene and watched the flame grow. A message to the block and a hell of a show. The old man was coughing, the smoke was a wall, and I saw the youngest robber stumble and fall. I saw his marks slip, just a glimpse of the skin. It was the kid from the building, my own mother's skin. Now, the weight of the arson is a brand on my soul, watching my own blood play a villainous role. The store burned in cedars, the history turned black, and there ain't no way to bring the memories back. I'm caught in the middle, between the law and the blood. watching my morality get dragged into the mud. I'm the silent observer of a family demise with the smoke of betrayal stinging my eyes. Wow, that's poetic. That's poetry. Okay, I'm coming. Mm, So the next one says the concrete altar, a Judas in the project. The moon was a silver or silver stalk behind the smoke, and the air was thick enough to choke a choky dog. I was sitting on the fire escape, third floor up, sipping lukewarm water from a plastic cup. My eyes were on the courtyard and the concrete altar where the young boys pray for and the concrete altar where the young boys pray for a life in the Gant altar. I saw the rock pacing by the roasted out swing, wearing a fake chain and a real life stink. He was waiting for the connect, a man they call the ghost, the one who moves the most weight from the city to the coast. But tonight was different. The vibe was off key, like a piano out of tune in a minor degree. I saw the shadows shifting by the dumpster in the rear, and that's when the first prickle of cold blooded fear started crawling up my spine. A serpent in the dark, watching for the moment the fire hit the spark. A black SUV rode in silent as a scene with windows tinted darker than the trouble we were in. The ghost stepped out looking polished and clean, a stark white contrast to the grit of the scene. He had a briefcase handcuffed to his wrist, a $1 million gamble in a world of the beast. The rock approached him, but his gait was too wide. He was hiding a secret that was eating his inside. I saw the signal, a simple flick of the lighter, and suddenly the darkness got a whole lot brighter. From the shadows of the laundry room, three figures emerged. Their emotions and the moonlight violently converged. These weren't rivals from the south side or the boys from the hill. These were the Rock's own brothers moving in for the kill. The betrayal was a sense trap and metallic, a play for the throne that was cold and phallic. They didn't even speak. They didn't offer a word. The only thing vocal was the chipping of the bed that didn't know the gravity of the blood about to spill. The silence of the project before the ultimate thrill. The first shot was muffled, a supervisor low his, a coward way to ensure that the aim didn't miss. The ghost took it in the shoulder, his knees hit the ground, and watched the briefcase drop as the logic started to split. The rock didn't hesitate. He didn't blink an eye. He stood over and made a promise to the, to die for watching him die. He reached for the key. He wanted the gold. A story of an ancient a story as ancient as the world is old. But the ghost had a backup, a dead man device, a final insurance policy for the ultimate price. A high-pitched whine started cutting through the air, and the night, for the first time that night, the rock looked away. He looked up at the windows. He looked up at the stars. He looked at the world through invisible bars. The explosion wasn't loud, but it was bright as it was hot, turning the corner of the yard into a burial plot. I felt the heat on my face, 3 stories above, a final goodbye from life without love. The SUG sped off, tires screaming in pain, leaving nothing but smoke and a permanent stain. I sat there for hours as the siren drew near, his eyes wide up, but my vision was blurred. I saw the rock's mother come out in her robe, her screams echoing across the hemisphere globe. She didn't know her son was the one who pulled the strings. He just saw a body on a broken, a body, a broken, scorched thing. I know what I saw. I know the faces of the tree, but this zip code, the truth isn't something that's free. I will keep it to my chest like a lead line box, while the neighborhood mourns and the predator mocks. I'm the witness to the Judas of a scribe for the film, knowing that tomorrow it will happen the same. Wow. That rhyme was really long and sweet. Or will I say rhyme or poem? So let's go to the next one. The next one here, the payout and the pit. The rain was coming down like needles of ice, hitting the pavement and demanding a price. I was tucked in the hallway of the fourth building block, watching the second crow on my digital clock. It was 2:14 a.m., the hour of the wolf, when the lines between the living and the dead start to engulf. I saw the van pulled up. Oh, wait, I'm coming. I saw the van pull up a bit white Ford with a sliding door that groaned like a rusty old sword. Two guys step out dragging a heavy blue tarp. Their movements were jag. Their breathing was sharp. They weren't here for a treat. They were they weren't here for a deal. They were here to get rid of something all too real. I saw a hand slip out from the edge of the blue, a pale, lifeless thing that the moonlight shone through. My breath caught in my throat, a dry, dusty knot. I, as I realized I was watching the end of the plot, I knew that hand, the ring on the finger, was a graduation gift, a symbol of a life that was about to undergo a shift. It was little M, the kid who wanted to be a vet, who fallen into a hole of a gambling debt. The two men were arguing, their voices kept low, but the wind carried the word. I didn't want to know. We didn't, we shouldn't have done it. The tall one was hissing. Now there is a body of a kid who will be missing. The other one spat a dark globe on the floor. He knew the rules when he walked through that door. You don't play with the house if you can't pay the rent, and you don't keep the money that's already been spent. They dragged the tap towards the basement access, a place where the darkness is thick and the air is a mess. I followed them silent as a cat on the paw, ignoring the urge to scream or to howl. The basement was a lab- labyrinth of steam pipes and rust, a graveyard of memories covered in dust. I watched from behind a pillar, a brick as they opened the incinerator with a heavy metal click. The orange glow hit their faces, making them look like ghosts, two middle level hitters following the devil's own rules. They hoisted the tap and weight, making them strain a final indignity in a life full of pain. The smell hits me then, the scent of burning plastic and air, a heavy, sweet rot that filled up the air. I had to bite my own hand to keep from making a sound as little M was committed to the life and the ground. They didn't say a prayer, they didn't offer a grace, they just wiped the sweat from their cold, empty face. They headed back up, leaving the fire to roar while I stood in the shadow shaking to the core. I waited until the van was a speck in the night, until the sky started turning a bruised kind of light. I went to the furnace. I looked at the ash, thinking about the life traded for a small pile of cash. I found a single shared button, a violent surge in my throat. I couldn't go home. I couldn't go back to my bed. Not even the image of the hand in the head. I'm a keeper of the ledger, a witness to the pit, watching watching the wick of the city as it's slowly being lit. The cops will come knocking, asking questions and names, and I will tell them I was sleeping, ignoring the flames. Because if I speak, I'm the next one in the tap, and the blade of the street is incredibly sharp. I will carry this secret like a stone in my shoe, a reminder of the things that the desperate will do. Wow. Wow. So we witnessed the death of a popular kid and can't say nothing. I can't say nothing. Honestly, all these are sad. All these are sad. Okay. So the next one says the ghost on the stairwell. The, the radiator was hissing like a snake in a cage while I was sitting in the stairwell reading life final page. The bulb overhead was flicking, a yellow dying blink, making the shadows on the concrete dance and start to sink. I was hiding from the heat, just trying to find some air, but the staircase of the project is a getaway to despair. I had the heavy door broom on the floor just above, and I knew it was nimble, looking for a bit of love. It was the king of the hill, a man they call Big V, with a reputation darker than the bottom of the sea. He had a walk that rattled windows, a voice like grinding stone. It, and tonight he wasn't walking through those hallways alone. And that description is scary. He was dragging a man by the collar of his shirt, a guy named Glasses, Leo who dealt in secret and death. Leo was his niche, or at least that was the word. And in these hallways, a rumor is the only thing that is heard. I pressed my back against the wall, becoming part of the group, a silent, shivering witness to a cold-blooded crime. Big V threw him down against the heavy metal door, and the sound of Leo's impact echoed through the floor. I gave you the word, Leo. I gave you the keys, and you go and bring the wolves to their literal knees. V voice was a whisper, which is always the worst, like a bubble of tension that's waiting to burst. Leo was begging, his voice a sympathetic, high pitch. I didn't say anything big. I ain't no damn snitch. They came to my mother and threatened her home. They followed me everywhere, even uh, when I was alone. Obi just laughed, a sound that lacked any meat, a sound that told Leo he was leaving this earth. I watched through the gap in the banister rail as we reached for a weapon that looked like a flame, a heavy length of chain with a lock at the end. A brutal way to say goodbye to a former time friend. He didn't use a gun. He wanted it to be felt. He wanted the cut to be violently dealt. The first swing hit the floor, sparking up the cold steel, and the terror in Leo's eyes was sickening. The the second swing landed with a wet, heavy thud, and soon the grey concrete was painted with blood. I wanted to move. I wanted to scream. I wanted to scream out stop, but I knew if I did, I would be the next one to drop. I watched the brutality, the rhythmic heavy beat as we turned a man into a pile of meat. It went for minutes, or maybe it was years, a symphony of violence and desperate short tears. When he was finished, he whipped he wiped the chain on his vest and looking like a man who had finally found rest. He left Leo there, a broken heap in the dark, and walked down the stairs with a predatory spark. He passed by my level, his shadow crossing my feet, and I held my breath until I felt like a defeat. He didn't see me, or if he did, he didn't care. I was just another ghost in the project store. In the project store. I wanted. I waited for an hour before I dared to go look at the chapter of the street that was closed in the book. Leo was gone, not dead, not destroyed. A hollow heart vessel in the neighborhood void. I kept the chain reading in the back of my brain, a permanent soundtrack of sorrow and pain. I'm the witness to the stair wall, the keeper of the dead, knowing exactly where the king's mercy was spent. Well, man, that's a bad way to actually end someone's life, honestly. That's it. But that's a painful death. That's a painful death. Well, okay. The next one, the confessions we have today are not much. So this is like almost done with everything. But let's continue though. This one says the silver spoons, and I was working the night. I was working the night shift, cleaning the glass, watching the cars in the valley below us all pass. The high rise was quiet, a palace of chrome where the wealthy feel safe in their gravity homes. But the food doesn't stop there. But the food doesn't stop where the sidewalks get clean. It just changes the east clothes and enters the scene. I was on the penthouse floor, emptying the beams when the elevator opened on a duo of scene. Wow. They were dressed like tenants in suits made of silk with skin that was smooth and the color of milk. but their eyes were the giveaway sharp, hungry, and cold. They weren't here for the view, they were here for the gold. They didn't see me in the service of Argo gloom as they walked with a purpose towards the cornermost room. That was the unit the diamond man stayed, where the diamond man stayed, a jeweler whose fortune was intricately made. I saw the trailer one. I saw the taller one pull out a device, a high-tech little gadget that looked sleek and nice. It bypassed the lock with a digital home, and I knew that the moment of reckoning had come. I should have called security. I should have pushed the bell, but I wanted to see how Gentry would dwell. I followed them in, moving soft on the rug as they pulled out a silencer and gave it a talk. Wow. The diamond man was sleeping a peaceful, rich sleep, unaware of the promises the shadows would keep. They didn't wake him up. They didn't ask for the code. They just went for the safe where the treasure was stored. But the diamond man woke when the safe door gave a click and he let out a sound that was jagged and weak. He reached for the phone, but the taller one was fast, making sure that the jeweler first move was his last. The single soft pew and the pillow turned red as the diamond man's dreams were put quickly to bed. I watched from the hallway, my heart in my throat, as they emptied the safe onto the velvet lined coat. They took the watches, the rings, and the stones, ignoring the body and the silence of bones. They moved with a grace that was practiced and sleek, while the clock on the mantle gave a mocking old tick. Then the shooter, the shorter one stopped. He looked right at the door, and I felt my life flashing as I sank to the floor. He walked to the hallway, his gun raised to his eye, and he prepared for the moment I was destined to die. But his partner called out, "We are out of time, let's go." The sensors are tripping in the lobby below. They vanished through the window into the entrance ledge, ha- leaving the standing leaving me standing on the sharpened steel edge. The police arrived later with their sirens and glare asking me why I was standing right there. I told them I heard nothing and I saw only the fog while I wrote down the truth in my mental health log. Wow. I saw the elite get treated like the low. I saw the elite get treated like the low, a violent reminder of the status quo. Out here in the city, the zip code didn't save. It just changes the quality of the dirt on your grave. I'm the witness in the penthouse, the ghost on the floor who saw that the devil knocks on every single door. Hmm. So it was a robbery gone wrong. But nevertheless, once anyone take a weapon to a, a robbery, he's already showed the willingness to actually do whatever it takes to get away with what him or her came to steal. That's what to me. That's what it shows. That's what it shows. As long as they are going there with a weapon, they already have it in mind that if anything happen, someone is going down. Okay. The next one here says the midnight mechanic. The garage was a cavern of grease and the old oil, where the spirits of engine start to simmer and boil, and was tucked in the corner fixing a leak on a 98 Chevy that was tired and weak. It was way past the midnight. The city was hushed, but the doors to the shop were suddenly pushed. It was Stark and the crew and his crew, the ones who ran the street race with a look of pure panic etched into each face. They weren't in their usual customized ride. They were in a precinct hat. They were in a precinct cruiser rather. They were trying to hide. My heart did a backflip, a frantic wild jump as I heard the trunk open with heavy duty thump. The greased monkey moved. Stark yelled at the dark, his voice carrying a jagged electric spark. I stayed in the shadows. I didn't make a sound as they dragged somebody heavy across the oily ground. It was a man in a uniform. Wow, that's bad. A badge, a badge on his chest. That's bad. But he wasn't moving. That's worse. He was finally at rest. My breath hinged in my chest. A cold jerk shot as I realized the stakes were incredibly hard. They weren't just killing a rifle or a snitch. They'd taken down a cop, and the plot had a hinge. We cannot frame it. Stock whispered, his eyes moving fast. We got to make sure that this movement, this moment is his last. They pulled out a bag of work and a burner phone too, placing them carefully like they were starting a zoo. They wiped down the cruiser. They wiped down the floor while I watched the betrayal through the crack in the door. They were sitting they were setting it up to look like a deal gone wrong, a story the media would sing like a song. Officer down in a drug bust, gone sour. The headline lasts through the darkest of hour. But I knew the truth. I did see them earlier that day, laughing with the officer in a friendly like way. He wasn't a hero. He was on their own pay, but he asked for too much and they made him today. Stark pulled out a gun, a clean, shiny nine, and pressed it into his hand of the man on the line. He had a shot into the ceiling. He fired a shot into the ceiling above, a violent rejection of any brotherly love. Now the officer to had residue. He had a weapon in hand, a perfect little play across the law of the land. They piled back into a car that was waiting outside, leaving me with nowhere to hide. I look at the officer, his eyes wide and black, thinking about the money he had left in the bank. He was a pawn in a game that was bigger than him, and the lights in the garage were starting to dim. I had to clean it. I had to wipe my own print from the tools and the cars, or I did be the one spending my life behind bars. I walked through the night with a rag and some gas, watching the minutes and the memories pass. When the sirens finally screamed at the edge of the lot, I was gone like a ghost from a cursed haunted spot. I'm the midnight mechanic, the witness to the frame who knows that the justice is a wake up old game. I carry the smell, that grease, and that led and that image of the officer perfectly dead. Honestly, there is nowhere in the world where killing an officer should be an option. Mhm. But you witnessing such crime, I don't know. I still believe, even where I come from too, it's the same thing. Once you snitch, there's actually a price that you're going to pay. uh Even though it might not be your life, but it is something that you will actually regret of ever coming out to say what you say um, concerning the crime you witness. So the next one here says the playground paradox, the shadow on the slide. Okay, let's continue. The swings were growing in the midnight breeze. A rusted out choir sang through the trees. I was sitting on top of the jungle gym bars, trying to count the streetlights instead of the stars. Down here, the stars are just meat to kiss, hidden away by the smog and the heavy set lit. I saw a figure move by the sandbox edge, stepping over the line and the concrete cut ledge. I was solo, a brother who led by the blade. Sorry, it was Solo, a brother who lived by the blade. A man who survived in the traps he had laid. He was meeting a contact, someone small and quite thin, a runner named Pee Wee with a gap tooth, wide grinned. Pee Wee was shaking, a leaf in a gale. His face in the moonlight looked silky and pale. He handed over a package wrapped tonight in some tape, looking for the way for his soul to escape. But Solo didn't reach for the bag or the heat. He reached for the secret that was hidden and sweet. He talked to the precinct. I saw the footage, the kid. I saw the footage, kid. I saw the way that your loyalty slide. The air in the park turned to solid state ice as Pee Wee realized he was paying the price. I watched from my pouch, paralyzed by the sight, as the shadow of Solo swallowed up the boy's light. Solo didn't pull a trigger, he didn't make a sound, he just led the boy towards the hole in the ground. The old maintenance tunnel that led to the tracks where the city forgets all things that it lacks. I followed at a distance, a ghost in the grass, watching the tragedy and the minutes all pass. Inside the tunnel, the echoes were loud, a damp, heavy place like a subterranean shroud. Solo forced him to sit on a crate made of wood and explained the mechanics of life in the wood. It's about the foundation, it's about the big wall. If one brick starts shaking, the building all falls. He pulled out a jug, a small a smell was quite clear, accelerant juice for the fuel of the fear. He didn't burn the body, he burned the boy's starch, turning his dream into a pile of ash. Then he handed him a ticket, a one way to West, and told him to go the spirit can the spirit can rest. If I see you again, the fire won't be on the floor. You will be the one screaming behind the steel door. It was a mercy, I guess, in a twisted up way, a chance for the kid to see a new kind of day. But the look on Pee Wee's face was, as he ran for the light, was a crime. Let me think that again. But the look on Pee Wee's face as he ran for the light was a crime of his own in the middle of the night. I stayed in the tunnel until embers were dead, with the weight of the mercy sitting heavy in head. Solo walked past me. He didn't even blink. He just left me alone with my thoughts and my ink. I saw a crime of the spirit, a theft of the home, a boy forced to wander and forever to roam. And the witness of the playground, the ghost in the bar, who knows the mercy is just another deep scar. Wow. Thank God at least this one he didn't witness death. He only witnessed um, a guy teaching an upcoming that Leewood is not a place for him, and for the person to actually pick another part, and that's really nice, honestly. That's nice, but it's not nice. But to me, it's better than putting him to the ground. It's better than 6 feet. It's better, far better than 6 feet. Okay. The next confession starts with the pharmacy phantom. The blue light was pulsing from the mercy sign, casting a glow on the people in line. I was leaning on the mailbox, checking my phone, feeling the chill of the city down deep in my bone. The shooters were down on the shop across the street, but the lock on the side door was softening defeat. I saw a crowbar wedge into the frame of the wood, and a shadow slip like only a shadow could. It was Doc, the neighborhood unofficial MD, a man who sold healing for a very high fee. He wasn't after the cash or the gold in the drill. He was after the bottles that kept the demons away. Hmm. I moved closer to the glass, a fly on the wall, watching the dog as he stood in the hall. He was frantic and wild. His eyes were a mess, a man under a mountain of chemical stress. He was weeping in, he was weeping he was sweeping the shelves, taking everything in sight, from the pills to the pen to the pills for the night. But he wasn't alone. I saw a second ship move, a security guard with a point he wanted to prove. The guard was a rookie, a kid named Deshaun, who'd been working with Beat from the docks to the dawn. He didn't call for backup. He didn't pull out a mace. He walked into the room with a look on his face. The dog, pull it down, Deshaun said with a sigh. I didn't want to see you under this kind of sky. You saved my own sister when her lungs wouldn't breathe. You didn't have to do this. You didn't have to, Steve. But Doc didn't listen. The sickness was deep, a promise to the needle he was forced to now keep. He lodged with a scalpel, a flash in the blue, and the struggle began between the two that I knew. It was a dance of this desperate, a fumble for life. Under the shadow of a pharmacy knife, I saw the shelf toppled, the bottle like rain, a plastic case symphony for the addicts of pain. The guard went down hard, his head hitting the tire, and Doc stood above him with a soulful smile. He didn't finish the job, he just took what he found and left the Sean bleeding on the cold, sterile ground. I broke down. I broke through the door when Doc disappeared, facing the very thing that the neighborhood feared. I sat with Dishon holding a cloth to the to his head, wondering why all the good ones end up nearly dead. He looked at me then, his eyes fading out fast. I whispered, "Don't tell them. Let this moment be past." He didn't want to report it. He didn't want the arrest because Doc was a hero in the world of the stress. I watched the blue light until the sun started to rise with the weight of secret burning holes in my eyes. I saw the crime against kindness, a theft of the soul in the city that's missing a sense of control. I'm the witness of the pharmacy, a ghost in the eye who saw the doctor traded his heart for a vial. Wow. Honestly, this is heartbreaking. This is heartbreaking because this guy actually helped treat your sister. Now you came to steal from him, not just steal from him. You put a bullet or a hole in his body. But we thank God that that did not lead to his death. We thank God that that did not lead to his death. So the last one, well not the least, but the last for today says the gold plated craft. The lobby was marbled, polished to a shine where the laws of the street meet the laws of the fine. I was the night porter, buffing the floor, watching the power walk through the revolving door. It was 3 a.m. when the senator came with a man in a poker who didn't have a name. They sat in the corner by the fountain of stone, talking in whispers in a conspiratorial tone. I kept the machine humming, a low volume roar, but I heard every word I was as I walked on the floor. They weren't talking about taxes or the state of the schools. They were talking about territory and the bending of rules. The man in the Packer was a boss from the West, a man who put the local police to the test. He handed the senator the envelope of green, the thickest stack of hundreds I did ever seen. The new development project, the one by the docks, make sure that the zoning stays inside of our box. We need the warehouses. We need the dark space away from the eyes of the rest of the race. The senator nodded. His face was like clay, molding himself to whatever they pay. It was the high sweetheart marks, a robbery in a suit, a systemic harvest of neighborhood fruit. I saw the crime of the century, not a body in the bag, but a city being sold like a monarch old rag. They were trading the futures of the kids in the block for an for a offshore account and a piece of stock. I felt a sudden violent urge to intervene, to scream out the truth, what I had just seen. But I'm just a porter, a man with the mop. a tiny little cog in the world that won't stop. I saw the handshake, the seal of the path, a coded, a cold-blooded, calculative, legislative act. Then they noticed me there standing, still with a wax, and the senator eyes were like two little stars. You like your job, son? He asked with a grind, a wolf in a tuxedo, a merchant of sin. I nodded my head. I looked at the floor and I watched as they walked back out through the door. I went to the fountain. I washed off my hands, thinking about the blood on the maps of the land. They didn't use bullets, they didn't use knife, but ending a thousands they were ending a thousand of innocent lives. The hood isn't just concrete and rusted out cars. It's a cage built by men who look down from stars. I'm a witness to a graft, a ghost in the hall who saw how the giants make the little ones fall. I carry the memory of that envelope weight and the way that the powerful decide on our fate. I kept I will keep cleaning the marble until sorry, let me come again. I carry the memory of that envelope weight and the way that the powerful decide on our fate. I will keep cleaning the marble. I will keep buffing the stone. But I will never forget that we are never alone. There is always a witness there, always an eye watching the vultures as they circle the sky. Wow. If you witnessing a bribery, a hideous crime to you, then you are not been to Africa. Come to Africa and see the way they do bribery. It's on another level. It's on another level. Okay, so that's the only one for today. Thanks for all of you that were here with me. Thanks for those that sent me chat. Just that I didn't put the chat on the screen because I wasn't expecting any. I wasn't expecting any because today's live stream I know it won't be long. So for those that chatted, thanks. I really appreciate it. Okay, we'll meet the same time tomorrow. Keep it as it is. Thank you.